Overpowered Cultivation, system showers rookie with insane rewards. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 21. First place in the sect competition, Blue Luan Egg. Sister, have you ever heard of the sword controlling technique? Ling Feng smiled faintly. Lang Ningxuang was stunned when she heard this. I have never heard of it. Why are you talking about this? Because. Feng smiled slightly, then used all his strength to throw the 7-star dragon abyss in his hand, and the long sword broke through the air and stabbed straight at Lang Ningxuang. The other party came back to her senses, and a light smile appeared on her cold face. Junior brother, you are so naive and cute. She shook her body and easily dodged the sword. Seeing this, the others couldn't help but shake their heads. How can we possibly hit Lang Ningxuang like this? Alas, even the sword is lost. Junior brother has no chance of winning this time. The winner of this sect competition is Lang Ningxuang. If Lang Ningxuang hadn't broken through to the Wuling, junior brother could have won. What a pity. Everyone felt a little sorry. Lang Ningxuang in the air also raised the long sword in her hand, wanting to defeat Ling Feng. But at this moment, she noticed something was wrong. Behind her, there was a whistling sound, and a sharp edge made her back cold. She turned around subconsciously, only to see the 7-star dragon abyss stabbing at her. How is it possible? Lang Ningxuang's face changed. She blocked with the sword. Clang. She was knocked back several meters, but the 7-star dragon abyss was relentless and continued to attack her without anyone holding it. This scene stunned everyone. What's going on? How did this sword move on its own? It's rumored that the magic weapon has spirits, is that true? No, even if the magic weapon has spirits, it can't be to this extent. No one is holding it, and it can actually attack on its own? Is this weapon a spirit? Everyone saw this for the first time and couldn't believe it. Even the White Cloud sect master and others were dumbfounded. No, look at my junior brother. This time, everyone saw that on the broken arena, Ling Feng was emitting true energy, and his sword fingers condensed and gestured in the void. And Qixing Longyuan was also making corresponding movements as he gestured. Stabbing, chopping, or slashing. Thinking of the sword control technique that Ling Feng just mentioned. A bold idea emerged in everyone's mind. Oh my god, it's junior brother controlling Qixing Longyuan again. Controlling the sword, so this is the so-called sword control technique. It's amazing. It's unheard of. This is the real sword immortal method. Too strong. Baiyun sect master and others were also shocked. The method of controlling objects with the release of true energy. This is something that only Wuzong can do. How can he, a martial artist, do it? Is this the mystery of the sword control technique he mentioned? This kind of martial arts is really incredible. Baiyun sect master and others are knowledgeable. They know that martial artists are not incapable of controlling swords. But at least they have to reach the Wuzong realm. Ling Feng is only a martial arts master, 2 realms behind a martial arts master. In the air, Lang Ningxuang waved the long sword in her hand, constantly resisting the 7-star dragon abyss. But Ling Feng's sword controlling skills were too advanced. After dozens of rounds, she gradually couldn't hold on. At this time, a terrifying aura suddenly erupted above the 7-star dragon abyss. It made her feel like she was struck by lightning. That was sword power. Junior brother not only knows how to control the sword, but also sword power? Whoosh! The long sword broke through the air. It directly passed through the pair of ice crystal wings behind Lang Ningxuang. The wings were broken. Her body lost weight and fell straight to the ground, causing her to scream in surprise. At this height, I'm afraid she will fall to her death? At this moment, a figure quickly rushed out. There was no violent collision as she had imagined. Lang Ningxuang only felt that she had fallen into a warm embrace. When she opened her eyes again, it was Ling Feng who caught her. The other party grinned, revealing a sunny and cheerful smile. Senior sister, are you okay? Originally, Lang Ningxuang saw those female disciples who were crazy about Ling Feng and only sneered. Isn't he just a little more handsome? Is it worth you being so crazy? But now, Lang Ningxuang suddenly understood those female disciples. Junior brother is really handsome. Lang Ningxuang's cold face flushed with red, and her heart was beating fast. Seeing that she was fine, Ling Feng put her down. His actions and manners were polite. He didn't mean to take advantage of her at all. This made Lang Ningxuang even more moved. This junior brother was too gentle. Sister, do you want to continue fighting? No, I lost, and I lost sincerely," Lang Ningxuang said. After she finished speaking, the audience burst into cheers. "Oh yeah. Junior brother won. Hey, did you notice that Lang Ningxuang, who is always cold as ice, blushed just now? Did she like Junior brother? What's the matter? Junior brother is so outstanding, what's wrong with liking him? Who doesn't like Junior brother? He's just pretending." As the leader of Ling Feng's cheering group, Gu Linglong clenched her fists and felt a little unhappy when she saw Lang Ningxuang standing with Ling Feng. Damn it. I knew Junior brother first, but Junior brother hasn't hugged me yet. Zhang Ruochen smiled and said, "But you have eaten the food made by Junior brother." That's right. Thinking of this, Gu Linglong felt a little better. At this time, the leader of Baiyun sect also stood up from the stands and said with a smile, "I declare that the first place in this sect competition is Piao Peak, Ling Feng." When everyone heard this, the cheers became more intense. Many people were shouting, "Ling Feng, Ling Feng. Ling Feng, Ling Feng." The voice was as loud as thunder. It was hard to imagine that a disciple who had just entered the sect for more than a month could accumulate such a huge prestige in such a short time. It was incredible. Even the Baiyun sect master was extremely surprised. This child will definitely be the backbone of my Baiyun sect in the future. He sighed. Then, he walked towards Ling Feng, took out a token, and said, "According to convention, the first place in the sect competition can enter the Baiyun sect's treasure house to take a treasure. This is the token to enter the treasure house. You can go any time." "Thank you, sect master." Ling Feng took the token with a smile. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully winning the first place in the sect competition, and the prestige has been improved. This sect competition has ended successfully. Congratulations to the host for winning a Qingwan egg. Qingwan? Isn't this the legendary fairy beast? Ling Feng was shocked. This reward is not bad. He was already imagining how he would ride a Qingwan and soar into the sky in the future. Haha, you are worthy of being my disciple. I said you can do it. At this time, a laugh came. Lu Rusi came to the scene, looking at Ling Feng, who became the first in the sect competition with a smile on his face, stepped forward and patted him on the shoulder, and then looked at the Baiyun sect master and a group of elders with a proud look on her face. "Look, this is my disciple from Piao Peak. I wonder who will dare to say that there is no one in my Piao Peak in the future. I only have this one disciple in Piao Peak, and I can still beat all of you down," Lu Rusi said with a flying eyebrow. Several elders shook their heads, very helpless. Damn. This Lu Rusi is really lucky, she can actually get such a precious disciple like Ling Feng. Oh, it would be great if Ling Feng was my disciple. Episode 22, The Martial Emperor's Inheritance, the Hegemony of the Troubled Times. The sect competition ended, and Ling Feng successfully became the first in the competition. At this point, his prestige in the Baiyun sect has risen to an incredible level. The Baiyun sect is full of his fans everywhere. It is worth mentioning that most of these fans are female disciples. In Ling Feng's opinion, these people are just greedy for his body. Piao Peak. In order to celebrate Ling Feng's victory in the competition, Lu Rusi specially arranged a celebration banquet with countless delicacies and wines. Come on, everyone, drink and eat as much as you want. Don't be polite, just treat this place as your own home. Rusi carried a wine pot and gulped down a big gulp. At the banquet, Gu Linglong glanced at Lang Ningxuang. "Why are you here? You can be here, why can't I?" Lang Ningxuang said indifferently. The two looked at each other, and there seemed to be invisible lightning flowing. Tisk, are these two jealous? Feng Xiaoyao laughed at the side. Zhang Ruochen glanced at him. "By the way, as the disciple of the Great Elder, why do you come here to eat for free? If the Great Elder knows, won't he punish you? What's there to be afraid of? At most, I will just face the wall for a few days." Feng Xiaoyao didn't care at all. As his name suggests, he is free and unrestrained. The master is the master, and the apprentice is the apprentice. Although the Great Elder is hostile to Ling Feng, he is not. On the contrary, he is very optimistic about this junior brother who won the first place in the sect competition at such a young age. A banquet. There are many participants. Everyone praised Ling Feng's cooking skills. After the guests and hosts were happy, Zhang Ruochen and Feng Xiaoyao were assigned to wash the dishes, and Lang Ningxuang and Gu Linglong came to Lu Rusi and started chatting. Ling Feng listened for a while. Most of them were the two women praising Lu Rusi. They said that she knows how to take care of herself, is radiant and youthful. Hearing this, Lu Rusi smiled happily and looked at the two women with more and more satisfaction. Ling Feng rolled his eyes. These two guys, why are they trying to please the master? Could it be they want to snatch the master from me? Ling Feng's eyes showed a trace of vigilance. But then he thought that these two people already had a master, and it was unlikely that they would switch to Lu Rusi's sect, so he stopped thinking about it. He took out a token and played with it for a while. I don't know what good things are in the sect's treasure house, he thought expectantly. The next day, Ling Feng took the token to the sect's treasure house. This was an extremely magnificent palace, and the guard was a white-haired old man. Ling Feng took a look with the detection technique. It was a strong man in the realm of martial arts. He took out the token and gave it to the other party, and then let him in. Little guy, this treasure house contains all kinds of treasures, elixirs, weapons, secret books, etc. collected by Baiyun's sect for hundreds of years. You can take your time to pick. The old man looked at Ling Feng and smiled kindly. Yes. After Ling Feng entered, a burst of pearls and treasures shone. In front of him, all kinds of treasures were emitting brilliant light. There were spiritual stones containing powerful forces, the unique skills of famous masters, and even several famous swords in the famous sword manual. The heritage of Baiyun sect was indeed extraordinary. Ling Feng opened the exploration technique and checked them one by one. Suddenly, a jade plate came into view. The jade plate was engraved with mysterious runes and filled with a faint golden light, which looked very extraordinary. What shocked Ling Feng even more was the information found out by the exploration technique. Emperor Jade Plate. This is a jade plate containing the inheritance of the martial emperor. It can only be opened with the blood of the martial saint body. Otherwise, it is just a jade plate with a high price. This item is precious, please don't miss it. Oh my! A jade plate containing the inheritance of the martial emperor. Is it true that he can come across such a thing at will? This luck is really too much. And it can only be opened by the blood of the martial saint body. Isn't this prepared for him? Ling Feng swallowed his saliva and stepped forward to pick up the jade card. It's you. After choosing the treasure, Ling Feng left the treasure pavilion and went to the old man to register. The old man took a look at the jade card. This jade card has been in the treasure pavilion for hundreds of years. Although it looks mysterious, no one has ever been able to uncover the secret. Or maybe it's just a piece of expensive jade card. Little guy, there are not many opportunities to enter the treasure pavilion. Are you sure you want to choose it? Yes. Well, okay, I hope you can uncover the secret. The old man didn't say much. Ling Feng took the jade card and returned to Piaomiao Peak. Night. He bit his fingertips, and a drop of blood fell on the jade card. Suddenly, the whole jade card turned blood red. Then, a torrent of information poured into his mind. In a trance, he seemed to see a figure in a golden robe, standing tall. The other party exuded thousands of golden divine lights, with magnificent blood and surging true energy, and the whole person was like a vast and blazing sun. A punch was thrown, and the mountains and rivers collapsed. The destined person. I am the martial arts saint body, the Emperor of Chaos. To be able to open the jade card and stimulate the inheritance, you must be a martial arts saint body like me. How much you can comprehend from this set of chaos boxing that I have studied based on the saint body depends on your luck. The golden robe figure, that is, the Emperor of Chaos, said lightly. Then he began to practice a set of extremely mysterious boxing in Ling Feng's mind. Boom, boom. In an instant, Ling Feng only felt countless thunders rolling in his mind. Ding, detection, the host is receiving the inheritance of Emperor Wu. Such luck is rare in the world. You are worthy of being the host. Reward the host with superb innate understanding, comprehension. As the name suggests, it is the talent that makes Ling Feng's comprehension soar. When this talent came out, Ling Feng only felt that his mind was clear, and the seemingly mysterious chaos hegemony fist was no longer obscure in his eyes. The whole set of boxing was engraved in his mind. If there is a destiny, we will meet again in the fairyland. The Emperor of Chaos said lightly. Then the figure disappeared. Ling Feng slowly opened his eyes, and a gleam of light flashed by. What a domineering chaos hegemony fist. If this boxing technique is spread out, it will definitely cause competition among various forces. Ling Feng sighed. Then he thought of the words of the Emperor of Chaos. If there is a destiny, we will meet again in the fairyland. It turns out that there is really a fairyland? Then think of it, isn't his master the reincarnation of an immortal? Thinking of this, Ling Feng couldn't help but feel hot in his heart. I've decided, let's set a small goal first, to become an immortal through martial arts. Soon. A night passed. The next day, Ling Feng got up early and started to practice boxing and the chaos hegemony fist. Boom, boom, boom. As he swung his fists, bursts of roars came from the void. The entire Pyongyang peak seemed to be shaking. Ling Feng hurriedly stopped. What a domineering boxing method. He did not dare to use his true energy, but only practiced his moves. Even so, with his strength of 1 elephant and 2 9 oxen and 2 tigers, the void still continued to emit sonic booms. This movement made Lu Rusi, who was sleeping, yawn and get up. It's so early in the morning, can't I sleep? She glanced at Ling Feng who was boxing, and then her eyes condensed slightly. Oh, this boxing method is imperial level. Where did this kid get it from? Episode 23. The True Sword Cannon, Lu Rusi's Strength. Master, did the sound of my boxing disturb you? Ling Feng saw Lu Rusi wake up, stopped and said. What do you think? Lu Rusi rolled her eyes, then curiously said, but your boxing skills are not bad, an emperor-level skill. I haven't heard that Baiyun sect has an emperor-level skill. Emperor level? Does the skill have different levels? Of course, the skills in the world are divided into the first level, the earth level, and the level above the heaven level is the emperor level. The most powerful skill of Baiyun sect is only the earth level. Where did you get this emperor level skill? I got it from the treasure house. O button blood type. Ling Feng briefly recounted his experience in the treasure house. So that's how it is. You still have this kind of luck. TSK, the martial arts holy body also has good luck. My dear disciple, if you don't ascend in the future, who will? Well, I'll try my best. Ling Feng scratched his head. After practicing boxing, he went to make breakfast. While eating, he asked curiously, Master, the Chaos World Hegemony Fist is an emperor-level skill. Then what level is the Misty Unparalleled Sword Classic you passed on to me? Above the emperor level. Ah, so powerful, but why can't I feel it? That's because you haven't yet brought out the true power of this skill. The Misty Unparalleled Sword Classic emphasizes one word, that is, enlightenment. When you understand it, the power of this skill will gradually appear. Lu Rusi said lightly. Really? I'll try my best. Hehe, this is not just trying your best. Back then, I spent 10 years to comprehend this skill. As for you, although you have a martial arts holy body and a clear sword heart, your comprehension is definitely a little worse than your master's. It will take at least 20 years. Lu Rusi said. Really? Ling Feng smiled. He thought of the talent he had just acquired. Super comprehension. After dinner, he returned to his own direction and began to practice the Misty Sword Classic. As the true energy circulated in his body, he continued to comprehend the mysteries of the Sword Classic. Gradually, a silver-white sword shadow gradually emerged in his mind. Sword shadow was somewhat illusory. It was like clouds in the sky, ethereal and unpredictable and ever-changing. A strange sword force surrounded Ling Feng. Gradually, the sword force became stronger and gradually spread. The 7-star dragon abyss beside him was the first to be sensed and trembled. In another room, Lu Rusi, who was taking a lunch break, suddenly opened her eyes. No way? Did this kid really figure it out? The sword force continued to spread. It gradually spread from Pyongyang Peak to the entire Baiyun sect. Some disciples' swords trembled uncontrollably. For a moment, 10,000 swords rang together. This mysterious phenomenon immediately surprised the Baiyun sect master and others. This is Junior Sister's Misty Unparalleled Sword Cannon. When Junior Sister was practicing, this kind of vision occurred. Now this vision appears again. Is Junior Sister from that time coming back? Lu Rusi, you are unwilling to fall after all. Some elders looked excited. In fact, they complained about Lu Rusi over the years, not only because she was willing to fall and humiliated the family tradition, but also because they were disappointed. After all, they all knew how amazing Lu Rusi was back then. If she hadn't fallen, the Baiyun sect would have definitely become the #1 sect in the Great Zhou. Many people rushed to Misty Peak. But they saw Lu Rusi holding a wine pot and drinking in broad daylight. The people who were expecting were immediately disappointed. Damn. Still like this? Oh, brother, I knew you would come, but let me make it clear first, this vision has nothing to do with me, it was caused by my good disciple. Xiaofeng? What happened to him? He comprehended my misty and unparalleled sword cannon. Hiss. Didn't you say that your sword cannon cannot be practiced by ordinary people? Even if you can practice it, it is difficult to comprehend the true mystery of it. How can my good disciple be an ordinary person? Lu Rusi said with a smile. The elders thought about it and felt that this was the truth. They looked towards the house with expectation in their eyes. Xiao Feng's aptitude is very terrifying. It is definitely not just a simple martial arts saint body. Bai Yun sect will rely on him in the future. Yeah, anyway, his master can't be relied on, so we can only rely on him. Lu Rusi rolled her eyes beside him. Then she waved her hand, go, don't be an eyesore here. If you disturb my good disciple's practice, I won't forgive you. Everyone didn't stay for long. After a few hours, Ling Feng woke up from the state of enlightenment. At this time, his sword energy was extremely pure, more than 10 times more than before, and his cultivation level was also improved from the first level of martial artist to the 9th level of martial artist. Only a small step away from the martial spirit realm. In one day, such progress. I don't know how many people will be shocked if it gets out. Walk out of the house. It's already dark. The bright moonlight sprinkled on the purple bamboo forest. In the forest, Lu Rusi was holding a wine pot and drinking alone. The wine slid from the corner of her lips, across her jade-like cheeks, her slender white neck, and into the deep mountains. Noticing that Ling Feng had come out of retreat, Lu Rusi smiled slightly, and threw the wine pot in her hand over. Ling Feng took it and also took a few sips. My dear disciple, how powerful is the misty unparalleled sword cannon? Do you think it is not inferior to the Chaos Hegemony Fist? Lu Rusi said with a smile. Well, it is indeed very strong, worthy of being the technique created by the master. The power of this technique can be further improved until it completely surpasses the shackles of the emperor-level technique. But you must know that on the road of martial arts, the strong are never the secrets of the technique, or the magic weapons, or the peerless elixirs. These things are all created by people. So the strong are always people. You have good qualifications, a martial arts saint body, a clear sword heart, and an emperor-level technique. It won't take a few years for you to rise, but you must not be proud and complacent. You need to always maintain a firm heart to seek the truth. Lu Rusi said slowly. Then, she felt that her words were not strong enough, and slowly walked in front of Ling Feng. With every step she took, a breath gradually emanated from her body. The breath became stronger and stronger. When she walked in front of Ling Feng already felt that the person standing in front of him was not Lu Rusi, but an insurmountable and vast sacred mountain. In a trance, he seemed to see an ancient and vast desert behind Lu Rusi, and the desert was full of swords. Heavy swords, short swords, and thin swords were all there. The desolate desert seemed to be a cemetery of swords. And Lu Rusi was the one who buried these countless swords. Oh my! Is the master so powerful that people have hallucinations? A layer of fine cold sweat oozed out of Ling Feng's forehead. But Lu Rusi's momentum came and went quickly. It dissipated in an instant. Ling Feng was relieved. Lu Rusi patted his shoulder and smiled. What you just saw is just the tip of the iceberg of my master's strength. So, work hard, and when you feel that you are too strong and invincible, think of me. I know, master. Ling Feng nodded. He set another goal in his heart. That is, surpass Lu Rusi. Episode 24, 2 years, about to leave the mountain, 1/2. Time flies, and 2 years have passed. It has been 2 years since Ling Feng joined the Bai Yun sect. In these 2 years, he rarely went out and stayed in the Bai Yun sect to practice. His own talent is amazing, and the system rewards him constantly. Giving silver, giving spirit stones, giving cultivation. This made his strength advance by leaps and bounds. Until today, he has reached King Realm. At the end of the sect competition, he was still a martial arts master. In 2 years, he directly crossed the martial arts spirit and martial arts master, and directly entered the martial arts king realm. With this strength, in Bai Yun sect, except for Lu Rusi, almost no one can be his opponent, but he has always been very low-key and has not shown his strength. But no matter how low-key he is, he can't cover up his own brilliance. Although he lived in seclusion for 2 years, for some reason, there were more and more rumors about him in Bai Yun sect. There were even many disciples who wandered around Piaomiao Peak all day long, just to see him. This made Ling Feng quite distressed. He was surrounded every time he went out. How could he not be distressed? Alas, people are afraid of being famous, just like pigs are afraid of being fat. It's true. That's right. On Ling Feng's shoulder, a green, palm-sized bird said. This bird looks a bit like a sparrow, but its eyes are glowing with a faint golden light. If you look closely, it's actually a bit magical. This is the reward Ling Feng won in the sect competition. Qing won. 2 years ago, after he hatched it, he has been taking good care of it, hoping that it will grow up quickly so that he can take him to soar into the sky. But now, he can fly by himself. This Qingwan eats a lot, but it still looks like a sparrow. There is nothing special about it except that it can talk. According to the system, the growth of Qingwan requires huge amounts of energy. The current Qingwan is not even in its infancy, so it is so weak. Ling Feng doesn't mind it, and just treats it as a pet. Usually, it flies around his head when it has nothing to do, and lands on his shoulder when it's tired. Junior brother, I'm here again. At noon, Gu Linglong came to Piaomiao Peak to eat. Ling Feng was not surprised by her arrival. In the past 2 years, she has come to eat a lot. Zhang Ruochen, Feng Xiao, Lang Ningxuang, and others are the same. Ling Feng and Lu Rusi have long been accustomed to it. Because of them, the originally deserted Piaomiao Peak has become a little more lively. During the meal, Gu Linglong ate and picked up dishes in big mouthfuls. Although she is not very reserved on weekdays. But this time, it was more obvious. I have to eat more. I can't come for a while. Gu Linglong said while eating. Ling Feng asked curiously, what are you going to do, senior sister? Well, I'm going down the mountain to do a mission. This mission is quite difficult. It is estimated to take 10 days and half a month. Gu Linglong said. Is it dangerous? It's not very dangerous, and it's not just me. Lang Ningxuang will go with me. Gu Linglong said. Ling Feng was a little surprised, you're with senior sister Lang? According to his observations over the past 2 years, although Gu Linglong and Lang Ningxuang didn't have any deep hatred, they didn't show any good looks to each other when they met on weekdays. They were like a pair of enemies. How come they are so close now that they have to go on a mission together? Hee, I didn't want to call her, but there's no way. This mission is not easy. I have to find a helper. Compared with others, Lang Ningxuang is indeed much stronger, and I know everything about her. Of course. The most important thing is that after I leave, Lang Ningxuang will have plenty of opportunities to be alone with my junior brother, right? This kind of thing is absolutely not allowed. The other party must be taken away together. Do the mission, or I'll find a mission to do too. Ling Feng murmured, touching his chin. What? Junior brother, you want to go down the mountain? Gu Linglong was shocked. In that case, why don't you come with us, junior brother? At this time, a person walked into the house. It was Lang Ningxuang. The other party was also here to eat. When Gu Linglong saw her coming, she curled her lips at first, but then her eyes lit up and said, yes, junior brother, let's go on the mission together. Hearing the words of the two women, Ling Feng felt that it was not impossible. I have been in this Piaomiao Peak for 2 years. It's time to go down the mountain and make some adventures. I'll ask Master for permission. It's just a small matter, do I need to ask for permission? If you want to go out and play, just go out. Just remember to bring me 2 pots of good wine when you come back. Lu Rusi's voice came from her room. The door opened. Lu Rusi, who was drunk early in the morning, walked out with a red face. He sat down next to Gu Linglong without any politeness and started eating. While eating and drinking, he said, you have achieved some success. It's hard to make progress if you continue to stay in Piaomiao Peak. It's a good thing to go out and explore. Yes, master. Ling Feng nodded, looking forward to it. The next day, he packed up casually and said goodbye to Lu Rusi. Looking at his departing back, Lu Rusi took a sip of wine, then looked at the neatly tidy room and kitchen, as if she thought of something, and slapped her head fiercely. Oh, it's a mistake. My good disciple is gone. Who will clean up my things, wash clothes, and cook for me in the future? The rest is easy to say. It's just that in the past 2 years, her mouth has been completely spoiled by Ling Feng. This is not the food he cooked, she really can't get used to it. Leaving Piaomiao Peak, Ling Feng walked towards the agreed place, the gate of Qingyun sect. And along the way, many people saw him and asked questions. It's junior brother. Good morning, junior brother. Wow, I see my junior brother again. Junior brother is still as handsome as ever. So handsome, so handsome. What is junior brother going to do? Many people were talking about it. As for the current situation, Ling Feng has long been accustomed to it. With a warm smile on his face, he can handle it with ease. In front of the gate of Qingyun Mountain, Lang Ningxuang and Gu Linglong have been waiting for Ling Feng's arrival. It's almost the agreed time, but Ling Feng hasn't appeared yet. At this time, the voices of junior brothers came from not far away. They looked over. They saw Ling Feng coming over surrounded by many people, with his hands full of various things, eggs, dry food, clothes, etc. Junior brother, you must be careful when you go down the mountain. Don't let people cheat you. The people down the mountain are all bad. That's right, especially the women down the mountain, they are the best at cheating people. Ling Feng held a lot of things and nodded to deal with everyone. Walking in front of Lang Ningxuang and Gu Linglong, he breathed a sigh of relief. The two girls looked at each other and twitched their lips. Junior brother, what are you doing? Oh, this is everyone's kindness. After they heard that I was going down the mountain, they gave me a lot of things. It was too late for me to refuse. Ling Feng said helplessly. While explaining, he put the things into the storage ring. Dry food, clothes, oh, he even asked for silver. Junior brother's charm is really getting bigger and bigger. Gu Linglong sighed on the side. 2 years have passed, and Ling Feng's charm is infinite and talented, becoming more and more powerful. Now wherever he goes, he will become the focus of attention. This is also the reason why he has been living in seclusion for the past 2 years. But he is still very popular in the sect. Ding! Detection host is about to go down the mountain for experience, brave to step out of the comfort zone, dare to take risks, host well done. The system rewards the host with 10 million taels. Episode 25. Worthy of being a senior sister. Senior sister, what is our mission this time? Ling Feng asked curiously on the way. Go to Yanqing and kill someone. Who? Number 71 on the Great Zhou evil list, flower thief, flower flowing fragrance. Gu Linglong said lightly, with a hint of disgust in her eyes. The Great Zhou evil list is a list officially released by the Great Zhou. Every evil person on it is a wanted criminal with a reward of more than 100,000. Some people even offer a reward of more than 10 million. If you catch one of them, you will never have to worry about food and clothing for the rest of your life. However, these people can be on the list and have such a high reward, so they naturally have the ability in their hands. It is not an easy task to arrest them. I don't know how many ghostwriters have fallen into their hands. Hua Liuxiang, his cultivation is at the Wuling realm, and the bounty is 200,000 taels. This man is a playboy, and I don't know how many innocent women he has harmed. This time I heard that he appeared in Yanqing, and Yanqing is the territory of my Baiyun sect. He must be executed on the spot. Gu Linglong said coldly. Lang Ningxuang also had a cold look on her side. As women, they naturally hated this kind of flower thief. I know, I will do my best to assist the two sisters. Ling Feng nodded. Soon. 3 days later. The three of them arrived in Yanqing. Yanqing is one of the largest cities in the territory of Baiyun sect. Naturally, it is bustling and prosperous, with people coming and going on the streets, and traffic is busy. Some people gathered in the tea house, talking about it. Damn it, Miss Zhang was kidnapped by that rapist Hua Liuxiang last night. She was found this morning, lying disheveled at the doorstep. Miss Zhang couldn't bear the humiliation, so she just hanged herself at home. Damn it, Hua Liuxiang really deserves to die. That's right, don't let me catch him or I'll kill him. Everyone was furious. Lang Ningxuang and Gu Linglong also heard these rumors after entering the city. Their faces were ashen and they exuded cold murderous aura. Damn it, we were a step late and let this rapist commit another murder. Ling Feng was also a little angry. Let's go find the city lord first. Gu Linglong said. The three of them went to the city lord's mansion. On the way, many pedestrians turned back to look. Ling Feng was not surprised. Gu Linglong and Lang Ningxuang were both rare beauties, with good clothes and temperament. When they walked on the street, they would naturally have a high rate of turning heads. But then, he found something wrong. Look, which family is this young man from? He is so handsome, and his temperament is amazing. Is he a fairy from heaven? Really? It's rare, really rare. He is so handsome. I wish I could marry him. Wow, this is the first time I have seen such a handsome boy. Why did you let me meet him? If I meet him but can't marry him, won't I regret it for the rest of my life? Wow, God, you are so cruel. I have always thought that I only like girls, but now it seems that even boys are not impossible. Some discussions around came into my ears. Ling Feng's mouth twitched. Good guy. I left two beautiful women alone. Are you discussing me, a grown man, here? It's okay for women. And those men, what are you doing there? Ling Feng shook his head helplessly. But Gu Linglong and Lang Ningxuang were not surprised. After all, in Qingyun sect, Ling Feng is the focus wherever he goes. Even the disciples of Qingyun sect who are well informed and used to seeing handsome men and beautiful women are surprised. Not to mention these ordinary people. Junior brother's charm is really getting bigger and bigger. In another 2 years, if he grows up completely, won't he really become an immortal? TSK, I often hear those poets say that the beauties of a certain dynasty are the most beautiful in the country, with fairy-like appearance. In my opinion, junior brother is the most beautiful in the country. The two women sighed in a low voice. Under the gaze of everyone, Ling Feng and the other two came to the gate of the city lord's mansion. The city lord had known about their arrival for a long time. The other party came out to greet them in person. You are finally here. If you hadn't come, my Yanqing would have been ruined by Hua Liuxiang. The Lord of Yanqing said with a wry smile. Don't worry, Lord. Since we are here, we will naturally not let Hua Liuxiang do evil. We will definitely find a way to bring him to justice. Gu Linglong said solemnly. The three entered the Lord's mansion and found that in addition to them, there was also a man in black in the lobby. The other person's black clothes were embroidered with a tiger with wings. There was also a tiger-headed knife on his waist. The Flying Tiger Division of the Great Zhou. Gu Linglong's eyes condensed. The Flying Tiger Division was a department specially established by the Great Zhou to deal with warriors. I am Wang Long from the Flying Tiger Division. I also sent people to ask for help from the Baiyun sect. Please give me more advice. Wang Long bowed. Captain Wang, don't be polite. This Yanqing is also the territory of my Baiyun sect. Hua Liuxiang is making trouble here. It is really seeking death. Gu Linglong said, and then exchanged some information with Wang Long. Learned that Hua Liuxiang had been causing chaos in Yanqing for more than 7 days. But he had harmed no less than 10 women. I have met this Hua Liuxiang. He is not very old, probably in his early 20s, but his cultivation has reached the Wuling realm. He is indeed extraordinary. The most important thing is that he has a body movement of at least the earth level. He comes and goes without a trace. It is rare to catch him in the same realm. Wang Long said helplessly. He is also a top Wuling realm, but he has never even touched the corner of Hua Liuxiang's clothes, which shows how good his body movement is. Well, we know, but the problem is that Yanqing is so big, how can we lure him out? Gu Linglong said. We have sent people to the homes of the girls waiting to be married in the city to set up defenses. Once he appears, he will send a signal. This is too inefficient. Yanqing is so big, how many girls are waiting to be married? This way, it will be more difficult to catch him with scattered manpower. I have a way. Gu Linglong smiled slightly. Please speak, frankly, young lady. This Hua Liuxiang claims to be a romantic man, and the women he likes are all beautiful and charming. If we bring out a woman who is the most beautiful among all the women, then Hua Liuxiang will definitely be tempted. Instead of passively defending, it is better to take the initiative to lure him out. This is indeed a way, but where can we find a woman who is the most beautiful among all the women? Wang Long asked with a frown. Excuse me, I think the two girls are as beautiful as fairies. If they are willing to lower their status, perhaps they can lure Hua Liuxiang out. At this time, the Lord of Yen City said. No. At this time, Ling Feng was not happy. This is too dangerous. What if something happens to senior sister? Thank you for your concern, junior brother. Gu Linglong smiled slightly, and then said righteously, no matter which woman is asked to do this task, there will be risks. Instead of doing this, it is better for me to take this risk myself. Ling Feng couldn't help but look at Gu Linglong with admiration when he heard this. As expected of you, you are a senior sister, you are really chivalrous. Gu Linglong's mouth corners rose even more. Lang Ningxuang, who was standing by, saw this and felt a pang in her heart. Gu Linglong, you actually used this method to gain the favor of your junior brother. She was not willing to be outdone and stood up. Junior sister, how can you take on such a dangerous task? I am your senior sister, let me do it. No, let me do it. I'll do it. Episode 26. The courtesan Ling Shuang, famous throughout the city. Seeing the two women vying to be the bait, everyone present could not help but marvel in their hearts. What two chivalrous and righteous female heroes. It is said that except for the self-indulgent, alcoholic and gambling elder Lu Rusi, the other disciples and elders of the Baiyun sect are all chivalrous and righteous. Today I see that their reputation is indeed well-deserved. Wang Long said with emotion. Hearing his words, the two women stopped and looked at him strangely. Then he looked at Ling Feng on the side. The other party still had a faint smile on his face and was not angry. Wang Long did not know that he had said the wrong thing, and continued, in fact, I think that either of the two girls will be the bait with a very high probability, but this time, the operation must be successful, so the bait must be carefully selected. I think this little brother is more suitable to be the bait than the two girls. He stared at Ling Feng with a hint of strangeness in his eyes. O button blood type. The two girls couldn't help but blinked when they heard this. Do you want to listen to what you are talking about? Act as bait to attract flower thieves. You let a man go? Ha, I know what you are thinking, but I, Wang, have seen countless people and have never misjudged anyone. This little brother has a superior temperament. If he dresses up a little, he will definitely be the most beautiful among all the beauties. He will definitely attract Hua Liuxiang to show up. Little brother, you don't want your two senior sisters to take risks, right? Ling Feng heard his words and his mouth twitched. Good guy. The other party wants him to dress up as a woman? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. But looking at the two senior sisters next to him, he was a little worried about letting them take risks, and at this time, the two senior sisters were looking at him expectantly. What are you looking forward to? Junior brother, how about you give it a try? Gu Linglong asked tentatively, her eyes shining. Asking a junior fellow student to dress up as a woman? Just thinking about this kind of thing makes her feel excited. Something strange seemed to have awakened in her heart. Sir, for the sake of the millions of innocent girls in Yanqing, please help. The Lord of Yanqing said solemnly. On behalf of the court and the Flying Tiger Division, I also ask you to do this. Wang Long bowed. Ling Feng took a deep breath, then let's give it a try. Young master is very righteous. You are worthy of being a disciple of Baiyun sect. By the way, I wonder which elder of Baiyun sect did you learn from? Oh, it's the elder Lu Rusi who was self-indulgent, addicted to alcohol and gambling as mentioned by the head of the police just now. Ling Feng said lightly. What? Wang Long was stunned for a moment, and then hurriedly said, it seems that the world has a deep misunderstanding of Elder Lu. Being able to teach such a righteous man like you, Elder Lu must be a fairy with a clear wind and bright moon, chivalrous and courageous. He he. Ling Feng smiled and said nothing. The next day, the brothel in Yanqing suddenly issued a message. It announced that it would unite the top 10 brothels to select an oiran. When this matter spread, countless talented men talked about it with relish. For a time, the whole Yanqing, the streets and alleys, were discussing this matter. That night, on a huge flower boat in Yanqing, all the famous prostitutes from various brothels gathered, competing with each other to show their talents, all wanting to win the title of the oiran. For these famous prostitutes in brothels, the title of an oiran means a steady stream of money. On the flower boat, many dignitaries and talented men were also there. Looking at the famous prostitutes on the stage, everyone commented and selected the oiran in their minds. I think Miss Iris from Baihua Tower is the most attractive. Not only is she beautiful, but she is also a master of the zither. I think Miss Hongdan from Chuanfang Pavilion is the best. TSK, her appearance and figure are simply amazing, and she can also recite poems and compose fu. No, Lu Ji from Hongfen Tower is the best. Everyone was talking about it. At this time, on the stands, petals of flowers were flying. A figure descended from the sky. The woman was dressed in white, with a layer of gauze on her face, a pair of phoenix eyes, and a temperament that was extraordinary. Under the moonlight, she looked like a fairy from the moon descended to the world. After landing on the stands, the woman began to dance with two swords in her hands. The sword shadows were scattered, and the masculine and feminine were revealed. She was as agile as the emperors riding dragons, and as calm as the clear light of the sea and the river. The people in the audience could not help but stare at her in a trance. Which brothel is this girl from? Oh my god, so beautiful. Is this the fairy in the moon descending to the world? So beautiful. Everyone looked at the woman dancing with swords on the stage, their eyes were extremely enthusiastic. After a sword dance, the woman bowed to the people in the audience. At this time, an old procuress walked onto the stage and smiled at everyone. Everyone, let me introduce you to Ling Shuang, the new girl from my Chuanfeng pavilion. She has just made her debut. Please support her in the future. Of course. By the way, why is Miss Ling Shuang wearing a veil? Yes, is there any hidden illness? Ling Shuang hesitated for a moment. Then she slowly took off her veil. Suddenly, a stunning face appeared in front of everyone. Her lips were like red cinnabar, and her face was like peach and plum. Between her eyebrows, there was a bit of aloofness and valiantness. I don't know how many levels higher than ordinary prostitutes in brothels. Ling Shuang quickly put the veil back on. But everyone has been unable to forget her for a long time. This year's Oiran, needless to say, must be Miss Ling Shuang. That's right, Miss Ling Shuang is a god. Don't fight with me, Miss Ling Shuang is mine. The old procuress said that Miss Ling Shuang has just made her debut, which means that she is very likely still a virgin. This is really great. Haha, no matter what, this young master is going to marry Miss Ling Shuang. For a moment, everyone present was a little crazy. Offstage, Gu Linglong, who was pretending to be a man, and Lang Ningshuang looked at the people around them, looked at each other, and couldn't help but exclaim. This effect is too amazing. TSK, you are worthy of being my junior brother. By the way, where did you learn this sword dance? It's so beautiful. Haha, my junior brother is a sword wizard, how difficult is it to compose a sword dance on the spot? TSK, if my junior brother is really a woman, I would be moved too. It turns out that there is a kind of beauty that is indistinguishable between male and female. There was no suspense. The title of the Oiran fell on Ling Shuang. The next day, Ling Shuang became famous overnight with a sword dance. The whole city knew it. Many people went to Chuanfeng Pavilion just to get a glimpse of her beauty. In the crowd, a young man in a green robe glanced at Ling Shuang dancing on the stage, and a strong possessiveness flashed in his eyes. The courtesan of Yanqing lives up to her reputation. It's decided, the next target is you. This man was none other than Hua Liuxiang. He had to admit that even though he had seen all the beauties in the world, he still couldn't help but be wildly moved when he saw Ling Shuang. Compared to this courtesan, the ones I played with before were all mediocre. Ling Shuang. I'm going to pick you. No, not only that. I want to keep you by my side forever, and be my woman for the rest of my life. Hua Liuxiang thought passionately. That night, he began to act. With his superb body skills, he came and went like a ghost in the night, and soon came to the Chuanfeng Pavilion and sneaked into Ling Shuang's room. Looking at the hazy figure in the gauze curtain, Hua Liuxiang couldn't help swallowing his saliva. Beauty, here I come. Episode 27, Hua Liuxiang is arrested, the heroine Ling Shuang. Beauty, here I come. Looking at the hazy figure in the gauze tent, Hua Liuxiang showed a greedy smile on his face, but when he walked into the gauze tent, he found something wrong. Ling Shuang in the gauze tent was not frightened at all when she saw him coming. On the contrary, she looked at him indifferently. The other party took out a portrait from his arms and compared it with him. Well, Hua Liuxiang, you are arrested. You have the right to remain silent now, but every word you say will become evidence in court. Ling Shuang, also known as Ling Feng, said lightly. Wearing a white dress and a beautiful face. But the words she said were a man's voice. This made Hua Liuxiang look stunned. He reacted suddenly, oh no, this is a trap. Without saying a word, he was about to flee, and used his body skills to rush towards the window. But he saw the beautiful Ling Shuang holding up her skirt, taking a step forward, faster than him, and rushing in front of him in the blink of an eye. She grabbed his collar and slammed him to the ground. Boom. The floor exploded directly. Hua Liuxiang's face was directly cut by the broken floor, and his face was covered with blood. He was extremely terrified. What happened? He is the top martial spirit. He was subdued by him in one move? Are you kidding? Whoosh, whoosh. Several figures rushed out from outside. Junior brother, are you okay? Bold lewd thief, surrender. It was Gu Linglong, Lang Ningshuang, and Wang Long. When they rushed in and saw the subdued Hua Liuxiang, they were stunned for a moment. They didn't expect that the other party was so vulnerable in front of Ling Feng. They had no chance to attack at all. Gu Linglong and the other girl took a look at Hua Liuxiang, who was almost unconscious on the ground, and then trotted to Ling Feng. Junior brother, did this rapist do anything to you? Ling Feng felt a little strange when he heard this. He shook his head, I'm fine. Thank you, Mr. Ling, for subduing this man. Leave the rest to us. Wang Long said. Knowing that Hua Liuxiang was very skilled, he drew his knife and scratched his feet twice to cut off his tendons in order to prevent any accidents. To deal with such a vicious criminal, the means should be cruel. I wonder how Captain Wang plans to deal with this person. Gu Linglong asked, with a hint of coldness in her eyes. According to her idea, of course, the other party should be killed on the spot. Wang Long thought for a while and said, this person is extremely evil. I don't know how many people he has harmed in Yanqing. I plan to behead him and show him to the public. First, to deter all parties and maintain the face of the court, and second, to appease the people. Okay. Gu Linglong also thought it was a good idea. Then Wang Long took Hua Liuxiang away. The flower thief was arrested, and Ling Feng could naturally return to men's clothing. The madam of Chuanfeng Pavilion looked at the beautiful Ling Shuang and the heroic Ling Feng, and couldn't help feeling a little regretful. Alas, if she was really a woman, it would be great. Ling Feng glared at the other party. The other party quickly shut up. Madam, remember this, if you dare to publicize this, I will raze your Chuanfeng Pavilion to the ground. Ling Feng said viciously. He was a man, but he was wearing women's clothes. If this matter got out, Ling Feng felt that he would have no face to see anyone. Yes, yes. The madam was not stupid and knew that Ling Feng could not afford to offend, so she nodded quickly. Ding. The host successfully captured the flower thief Hua Liuxiang, removed a major worry for Yanqing, and was rewarded. 100 fiery thunder beads. Fiery thunder beads? This name, you know it's incredible at the first sound. System, what is the use of this thing? The fiery thunder bead is a powerful mechanical creation that contains special gunpowder and true energy. Once triggered, it can explode with extremely terrifying power, no less than the full force of a top martial king. No less than the full force of a martial king? Good guy. This thing seems to be useless. After all, I am a martial king now. With the martial arts saint body, my casual attack is comparable to the full force of an ordinary martial king. If I am a little more serious, I think I can also blow up a top martial king. Well, although it is useless to me, it would be good for self-defense for my senior sisters, and 100 fiery thunders are equivalent to the full force attack of 100 top martial kings. Think about it this way, this reward is quite good. Ling Feng showed a satisfied smile. Not long after, the news that Kai Hua stealing Liuxiang was arrested spread throughout Yanqing. For a time, the people of Yanqing were all excited. Everyone was waiting for this day, and some of the victims' families were so happy that they cried. Great, great. I heard that it was Miss Ling Shuang who caught the flower thief. Miss Ling Shuang? How could she be so capable? I heard that Miss Ling Shuang is not a courtesan, she is a chivalrous woman from the Baiyun sect, who came to Yanqing specifically to capture Hua Liuxiang. She pretended to be a courtesan in order to lure the other party into the trap. Oh, she is really chivalrous. Beautiful and kind-hearted, Miss Ling Shuang is what you are talking about. Woo-woo, Miss Ling Shuang will be my goddess for the rest of my life. Ling Shuang became angry again. But when Ling Feng heard these rumors, he couldn't help but twitch his mouth. Damn it. Don't remember Ling Shuang, forget it all. But something happened that he didn't expect. On that day, a large group of people came to the gate of the Yanqing City Lord's mansion. The leading few people held a banner in their hands. It was written on it. Baiyun Ling Shuang, a heroine. We are here to thank Miss Ling Shuang, please meet Miss Ling Shuang. Gu Linglong and Lang Ning Shuang looked at Ling Feng with interest. This. The city lord also looked at Ling Feng with some embarrassment. This person looks a little familiar. At this time, someone noticed Ling Feng. There was no way. The other party was too eye-catching in the crowd. That extraordinary temperament and charm could not be concealed at all. The man frowned and then exclaimed, I remember who he looks like, it's Miss Ling Shuang, he looks a bit like Miss Ling Shuang, could it be? Ling Feng's heart skipped a beat. No. It's going to be exposed. My lifelong reputation is going to be ruined here? Could he be Miss Ling Shuang's brother? It must be. This man and Miss Ling Shuang's temperament are also very similar. Both of them are born with natural talents. It's so rare. No one thought of Ling Feng and Ling Shuang as the same person. After all, one is a man and the other is a woman. How could they be the same person? They thought Ling Feng was Ling Shuang's brother. This young master, I wonder if your sister is here. Sorry, my sister has returned to Baiyun sect. Ling Feng made the best of it and said lightly. Why are you leaving in such a hurry? The man said with regret. I understand. Miss Ling Shuang must not want to trouble us to draw a reward to thank her, so she left first. What a chivalrous woman who does good things without asking for anything in return. Miss Ling Shuang, you are truly a role model for our generation. Someone suddenly realized and immediately showed admiration on his face. One person handed a silk banner to Ling Feng and said, Mr. Ling, your sister is as kind as the wind and the moon, not fussy about trivial matters, and her chivalrous heart is witnessed by the sun and the moon. We know that no matter how many words we use, we cannot express our respect and gratitude for her, but this silk banner is our little token of our appreciation. Please pass it on for us. Episode 28. Xianxin sect wants to protect Hualiuxiang. Ling Feng looked at the silk banner in his hand and the grateful people in front of him. His mouth twitched slightly, and he said, I will try my best to give it to her. He no longer wanted to explain this wonderful misunderstanding. After sending the silk banner, the people left with satisfaction. Gu Linglong and Leng Ningxuang were laughing on the side. Qingwan was flying above Ling Feng's head, chirping, and suddenly seemed to have discovered something. Qingwan landed on Ling Feng's shoulder. Someone is coming, someone is coming. Ling Feng looked in the direction indicated by Qingwan. He only saw a man in white walking towards them. The other party had narrow eyebrows and a cold meaning on his body. It seemed that he was coming with bad intentions. And on the other side of his waist, there was a token hanging. It was written on it. Xian Shen. People from Xianxin sect. Seeing the newcomers, Gu Linglong's eyes fixed. In the Great Zhou dynasty, there are many martial arts sects, and these sects are divided into top sects, first-rate sects, second-rate sects, and third-rate sects. Baiyun sect is a first-rate sect close to the top sects. In the Great Zhou dynasty, there are only 4 top sects. They are Tianwu sect, Dilong Temple, Xianxin sect, and Huangji Palace. Xianxin sect, one of the 4 top sects. How could there be disciples coming to Yanqing? Gu Linglong was quite puzzled. But the young man walked up to several people and said lightly, I am Li Qian, an inner sect disciple of Xianxin sect. I came here today for only one thing. Please, everyone, release Hualiuxiang. As soon as these words came out, the faces of several people looked a little ugly. They had worked hard to catch the other party. How could they let him go just like that? Hualiuxiang has committed many evil deeds and is a wanted criminal by the court. He will be beheaded in Yanqing soon. How can he be let go just like that? Wang Long said indifferently. Hualiuxiang was officially accepted as a true disciple by my Xianxin sect a month ago. The wanted order for him will be revoked soon. You are the head of the Feihu division. You will receive the news tomorrow, at the latest. By then, I want to see Hualiuxiang standing in front of me intact. Otherwise, it will not be me who will inform you. Li Qian said indifferently, then turned and left. His words made several people frown. Hualiuxiang actually has such a background? Speaking of which, Hualiuxiang has advanced to the top martial spirit realm at a young age. He is indeed a rare cultivation genius. It is not impossible for him to be favored by Xianxin sect. This is troublesome. Wang Long said with a serious face. In this world, martial arts is respected. Fists are even above imperial power. The 4 top sects are behemoths that even the court dare not provoke easily. With this relationship, Hualiuxiang is afraid that it will be difficult to kill. But when I think of those young girls who were killed by the other party. Damn it. Wang Long punched the wall next to him. Gu Linglong and Leng Ningxuang looked at each other and felt a little troubled. Although Baiyun sect has a good foundation and is a first-class sect. But compared with the top sects, there is still a gap. The next day, Wang Long really received a letter from Feihu division, which asked him to release Hualiuxiang immediately and not to conflict with Xianxin sect. He found Gu Linglong and Leng Ningxuang and told them about this. Both women looked unhappy. But Xianxin sect was a big family with a great foundation. If they clashed with them here, they might implicate Baiyun sect. This matter was of great importance, so they dared not act recklessly. Only Ling Feng remained silent, not knowing what he was thinking. He took out a silk banner. It was given to him by the common people. He chuckled and walked straight to the dungeon of the city lord's mansion. Mr. Ling, what are you going to do? Junior brother. Don't be impulsive. Seeing this, the faces of several people changed slightly. Wang Long even stood in front of Ling Feng. Mr. Ling, I know you are very angry now, but if you kill Hua Liuxiang, I am afraid that the people of Xianchen sect will not let you go. Junior brother, let's go back and report to the sect master first. Lang Ningxuang said helplessly. By the time we go back and ask the sect master to make a decision, Hua Liuxiang has already been taken back to Xianchen sect and continues to be at large. Ling Feng said indifferently. He walked towards the dungeon step by step. Wang Long still stood in front of him, but Ling Feng just waved his hand, and a powerful true energy surged like a raging wave, instantly knocking him out. This kind of cultivation. Wu Zong. How is it possible? Long's face was a little horrified. This is the first time he has seen such a young Wu Zong. Lang Ningxuang and Gu Linglong looked at each other. Sure enough. Junior brother's cultivation has long surpassed theirs. Two girls, please try to persuade Master Ling. At this time, Wang Long looked at Gu Linglong and the other two girls. It's useless. Although junior brother is easy to talk to, once he decides, 10 cows can't pull him back. This Hua Liuxiang is dead. Gu Linglong and the other two had no intention of stopping Ling Feng. In the dungeon, Hua Liuxiang was sitting cross-legged, without any panic on his face. Suddenly, footsteps were heard. He looked at Ling Feng who was coming, and a smile appeared on his face. Oh, you are finally here, open the door and let me out. He obviously knew that the people of Xianchen sect would rescue him. He has always been fearless. Ling Feng opened the prison door with an indifferent expression and let the other party out. Haha, that's right. It's not a wise choice to go against Xianchen sect for a few bitches. Just let me go. Hua Liuxiang stood up and walked out of the prison door. But before he could walk out of the dungeon, Ling Feng suddenly grabbed him with his big hand. The other party didn't have time to react, and was hit in the chest by a palm. The whole person flew out and hit the wall, spitting blood. What are you going to do? Hua Liuxiang's face changed wildly. Then he was horrified to find that Ling Feng's palm had completely shattered his meridians in his body, and his cultivation had been abolished. Now it was very difficult to even raise his hand. Asshole, I'm going to kill you. Going against Xianchen sect, you are looking for death. Hua Liuxiang roared with a ferocious face. Ling Feng walked forward, directly lifted the other party's collar, and dragged him out of the dungeon like a dead dog. Then he walked out of the city lord's mansion and dragged him to the street. Gu Linglong, Lang Ningxuang, Wang Long, and the city lord all followed. On the street, Hua Liuxiang was still cursing. His body rubbed against the ground, his clothes were torn, and his flesh gradually broke under the friction of the rough sand and stones, leaving a long blood mark on the ground. Many people on the street looked at this scene curiously. But when they found out that it was Hua Liuxiang, everyone couldn't help but get angry. Some people picked up the gravel on the ground, and some took out eggs and threw them directly at Hua Liuxiang. With everyone's indignation, Hua Liuxiang was soon beaten half to death. Devil, you go to hell. My poor daughter, she is only 14 years old, how can you have the heart to do this? Go to hell. You son of a bitch, you will not die well. The people cursed. In a restaurant not far away, Li Qian noticed that Hua Liuxiang was dragged to the street by Ling Feng, and his face darkened. How outrageous. I have made it so clear, but you dare to do this. Don't you really take my Xianchen sect seriously at all? Episode 29 Ling Feng shows his cultivation for the first time, shocking the martial king. 1/2. Ling Feng drags Hua Liuxiang towards the center of Yanqing Square, intending to behead him in front of the people of the city. Suddenly, a man stood in front of him. It was Li Qian who came yesterday to ask them to release Hua Liuxiang. Looking at the other party, Ling Feng looked indifferent. A good dog doesn't block the road, make way. No. Let Hua Liuxiang go. Otherwise, you are provoking my Xianchen sect. Can you, Baiyun sect, bear the price? Li Qian said coldly. Everyone has his own consequences. I want to kill this person. Humph, naive. Even the imperial court dares not to oppose my Xianchen sect. What capital do you have to dare to kill Hua Liuxiang? Li Qian snorted coldly. If the imperial court dares not to kill him, I will. Ling Feng said calmly, his tone was unquestionable. He was not afraid of the Xianqian sect. Anyway, he had Lu Rusi's support behind him. Say it again, get out of the way. Boy, if that's the case, then you can die. Li Qian did not hesitate and attacked immediately. The long sword at his waist was unsheathed. The bright sword light slashed at Ling Feng like lightning. This sword was fast, accurate and ruthless. It was a sword that would kill. Ling Feng punched out directly, and the golden true energy unique to the martial arts saint body brought a fierce and domineering force, fiercely smashing the sword light. Li Qian's pupils shrank, and he couldn't believe it, and was hit by the fist light. The whole person exploded. In an instant, he fell on the spot. The opponent never thought that he would be killed in one move until he died. Hua Liuxiang, who was originally full of hope, saw that Li Qian, who came to save him, was killed by a punch, and his eyes were filled with shock and despair. You, what kind of monster are you? Hua Liuxiang said in a trembling voice. Ling Feng did not reply, nor did he even look at the body on the ground, still muttering, I told you to get out of the way, but you forced me to take action. The people around were shocked when they saw Ling Feng kill Li Qian in seconds. They didn't expect that this boy who looked like a sunny boy next door actually had such strength, but they were not afraid of it. On the contrary, they all applauded each other's behavior. Humph, this guy came out of nowhere and actually wanted to save Hua Liuxiang, the flower thief. He is not a good guy at first glance. That's right, it's best to kill him. He deserves to die, bah. The Xianqian sect, as one of the four top sects, actually protects such a villain like Hua Liuxiang. It's really disgusting. Soon, Ling Feng dragged Hua Lucian to Guangqing, Yanqing. Many people had gathered around. Everyone was waiting for the moment when Hua Liuxiang was executed. Alas, this time, Master Ling is afraid that he will be in trouble. Wang Long sighed. Even the court did not dare to go against the Xianqian sect. Wang Long was really curious about what Ling Feng had the confidence to do this. Or was it really just because of his passion? Everyone, the flower-stealing Liu Xiang is here. This man has harmed countless young girls. I don't know how many families have been broken because of him. His crimes are too numerous to list. Today, I will kill him here to comfort the souls of those who have been harmed by him. Ling Feng said lightly, and the seven-star dragon abyss on his waist slowly unsheathed. But at this time, in the sky not far away, a figure rushed over quickly. The person who came was an old man. He turned his true energy into wings and flew into the air. The true energy on his body was like a raging storm, emitting an extremely surging pressure. Master! Save me! Hua Liuxiang burst into tears of joy when she saw the person coming. The person who came was an elder of the Xianqian sect. His cultivation level reached the 9th level of the Martial King. In the Great Zhou, he is definitely a well-known top powerhouse. His arrival exuded a pressure like a mountain, falling on everyone present, and ordinary people could not help but lie on the ground. Even Wang Long, Lang Ningxuang, Gu Linglong and other martial arts masters were trembling under the pressure of the Martial King, and they had no intention of fighting. Only Ling Feng stood there with an indifferent expression, his posture still upright. Boy, let him go. This elder can let you go for the sake of Baiyun sect. The old man said coldly. The pressure continued to increase, crushing towards Ling Feng. Ling Feng just smiled indifferently, let him go? I think you are talking nonsense. Swish. Sword light lit up. Then, a head rolled to the ground, blood gushed out like a fountain. Hua Liuxiang, dead. His head fell to the ground, his eyes widened, and there was still disbelief. And the old man was also stunned for a moment. Then, he was furious, his hair stood on end, and the pressure of the Martial King instantly exploded to the extreme. Boy, you are looking for death. After saying that, he raised his hand and slammed Ling Feng with a palm. Not good. Junior brother. Damn it. Lang Ningxuang and Gu Linglong's eyes were bloodshot. They wanted to rush up to block the attack for Ling Feng. But under the pressure of the Martial King, their actions were extremely difficult, and they had no time to block it. A trace of despair appeared on their faces. They swore. If Ling Feng had any problem, they would make Xianqian sect buried with him. At this time, Ling Feng slashed out with a sword. The brilliant sword light contained a monstrous sword force. It collided with the old man's fist, raising a lot of airwaves in the void. The old man couldn't believe it. You are also a martial king? This time, everyone was stunned. The martial king is the top powerhouse in the Great Joe. I dare not say that he is invincible, but he is basically an existence that can walk sideways. Most martial kings have achieved it after dozens or even hundreds of years of hard practice, but Ling Feng, how old is he this year? Monster. These two words can't help but come to everyone's mind. Ding. The host is not afraid of power, beheaded Hua Liuxiang, and eliminated harm for the people. He is worthy of being my host. Well done. Get reward, the power of 10 elephants, the power of 10 elephants. Ling Feng only felt that a powerful force in his body exploded instantly. The true energy did not increase, but the strength of the physical body has skyrocketed. His eyes lit up, and then the true energy surged, and a pair of sword wings composed of countless fine sword energy appeared behind him. It was the true energy into wings. With a flap of his wings, he instantly soared into the sky. Attacked the old man. The 7-star dragon abyss in his hand burst into a dazzling sword light. The sword passed by. Even the void seemed to tremble. The 7th in the famous sword book, the 7-star dragon abyss. And this domineering true energy, is it a martial arts holy body? The old man was knowledgeable and saw a lot of information at once. But it was precisely because of this that he seemed particularly shocked. What a monster this is! Without saying a word, he began to deal with Ling Feng's attack. Judging from his cultivation level, he was at the 9th level of the martial king, but Ling Feng had just been promoted to the martial king not long ago. The old man had the upper hand. Unfortunately, Ling Feng's combat power could not be measured by his cultivation level. 3 talents sword technique. Liang Yi sword technique. 8 desolation sword technique. Ling Feng waved the Long Yuan sword in his hand, and various exquisite sword techniques were displayed one after another. The sword light covered the sky, and the sword force was overwhelming. It made him look like an inviolable sword god. Although the old man's cultivation level was higher than Ling Feng's, he was beaten back step by step in the face of this fierce sword technique and the domineering sword force. Damn it. This sword technique, this sword force, even the martial king may not have it. Episode 30, killing a top martial king with one punch. In the sky, Ling Feng and the old man transformed their true qi into wings and fought fiercely in the air. Ling Feng's swordsmanship was exquisite, like a god among swords. Even though the old man was a 9th level martial king, he was severely suppressed. This scene stunned everyone. They had never seen such a young martial king, not to mention that the other party could easily suppress a veteran martial king of the 9th level. It was simply incredible. Is this the true strength of junior brother? Too strong. Lang Ningxuang and Gu Linglong couldn't help but show deep admiration in their eyes. In their beautiful eyes, there was a continuous stream of brilliance. What to do? I like junior brother even more. Damn it. I am the elder of the Xianqin sect, how can you suppress me? Heavenly will secret technique. Open. At this time, the old man shouted, and the blood and true energy in his body burst out. A huge blood-colored light will condensed in the void. The blood will exuded a strong pressure, and even the void was trembling slightly. Not good, this is one of the 3 Earth-level secrets of Xianqin sect. Wang Long's face changed slightly. Earth-level secrets. This kind of secret is very rare, and there are not many copies in the entire Dezhou. As soon as the secret technique was performed, the old man's combat power soared, and there was a tendency to break through the limit of the king of martial arts. He pushed with both hands, and the blood will suddenly smashed towards Ling Feng. The power was so strong that it was like a tidal wave. Facing this attack, Ling Feng smiled slightly, without retreating or avoiding, and actually put away the 7-star dragon abyss, then clenched his 5 fingers, and a terrifying momentum swept out from him, like an unparalleled overlord, descending to the world. Chaos hegemon fist. A punch was thrown. A series of roars broke out in the void. Huge golden fist appeared out of thin air, surrounded by giant elephants, and the roar of the elephants shook the heavens and the earth. It was the Chaos Tyrant Fist, plus the power of the 10 elephants. Boom. The blood-colored light wheel was shattered directly. The old man's pupils shrank, and his face was full of disbelief, and the huge fist had already hit him. The next second, he was completely blasted into slag. Wu Wang ninefold, dead. Ding. Congratulations to the host for killing a Wu Wang for the first time, and even crossing several small realms to kill the enemy. You are really great. Reward the host with the sword art, Phasian sword art. Phasian sword art is an emperor level skill. Compared with the Chaos Tyrant Fist, it is not inferior at all. Ling Feng's eyes lit up. He couldn't help curling his lips when he heard the excited voice of the system. What's so surprising? Isn't it just the 9th level of Wu Wang? The martial arts holy body, the emperor level skills, the power of 10 elephants. These things added together, it was too easy to kill a Wu Wang. He suspected that even if it was a Wu Zun above Wu Wang, he could fight. However, there seemed to be very few Wu Zun strongmen in Dezhou. I don't know how many there are in the 4 top sects. Ling Feng thought to himself, and then he returned to Gu Linglong and Lang Ningxuang. The two women were still a little confused. After all, his junior brother just killed the top Wu Wang with one punch. Master, junior brother, what kind of boxing was that just now? Gu Linglong swallowed her saliva and asked in shock. Oh, the boxing just now is called the Chaos Hegemony Fist. Senior sister wants to learn it, I will teach you. Ling Feng smiled slightly. He didn't hide the emperor level skills. Anyway, he now has a new emperor level skill. And with his comprehension, he believed that in the future, when his cultivation level was higher, he would definitely be able to create a technique that was more powerful than the emperor level technique. Chaos Tyrant Fist. What a domineering name. Hearing that Ling Feng wanted to teach her, she couldn't help but feel a little moved. It's not just because this boxing technique is so powerful. The most important thing is, if junior brother teaches me, I will have an excuse to get along with him in the future, and I can also improve our relationship. It's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Lang Ningxuang also thought of this and spoke first. This kind of technique is a secret that is not passed on in any sect. Junior brother, it's better not to teach it to others easily. Even if it's a fellow disciple, you have to be careful. Gu Linglong glared at her. But she also knew that the other party was right, and said, Ningxuang is right, this technique is powerful, junior brother, be careful not to be targeted by people with ulterior motives. Ling Feng smiled and said, to me, the 2 senior sisters are not outsiders, but very important friends. I am naturally happy to teach you the technique. Important friends. The 2 women blushed slightly when they heard this. It was as if fireworks were setting off in my heart, and I couldn't help but jump for joy. Junior brother, he is really too hot. Putting aside the matter of teaching the skills for the time being, Ling Feng glanced at Hua Liushang's body and said to Wang Long lightly, Captain Wang, this flower thief has been executed. If the Flying Tiger Division blames you, just put all the responsibility on me. Alas, brother Ling, the Flying Tiger Division will not do anything to you, but the Xianxin sect is not necessarily the same. You killed Hua Liushang and killed one of their elders. They will never let it go. Wang Long sighed. Then let them come. Ling Feng showed a confident smile on his face. A Xianxin sect, do you really think he would be afraid? Looking at the confident look on the boy's face, Wang Long thought of the terrifying scene of the other party killing the top martial king with 1 punch just now. This boy really has the capital to say such a thing. Being able to teach such a disciple, Elder Lu Rusi of Baiyun sect is probably not as bad as the rumors outside. Perhaps in the near future, Baiyun sect will become the new top sect. Wang Long thought to himself. As long as Ling Feng is not dead, in a few years, he will definitely lead Baiyun sect to create a new glorious history. Wang Long has no doubt about this. Okay, we should go back next. Junior brother, let's go. Gu Linglong said. Planning to return to the sect. Ling Feng did not refuse and said goodbye to Wang Long and the others. The people of Yanqing watched Ling Feng and the others leave, and kept expressing their gratitude, thanking them for removing a great harm from Yanqing. In this way, Ling Feng's name gradually spread. After all, it is rare to find a young genius who can kill the king of martial arts. Yes, raise your hand a little higher. In a wilderness. Ling Feng was raising Gu Linglong's hand close to her, and then whispered in her ear. Because of his approach, Gu Linglong's ears turned slightly red. But Ling Feng was unaware of it and concentrated on instructing the other party's boxing. After correcting Gu Linglong's mistake, he walked aside and helped Lang Ningxuang correct her posture. Yes, that's it. Punch, use more force. Yeah, not bad. In troubled times, the hegemony boxing emphasizes a momentum of no one else but me. The puncher should have no external thoughts and should be the only one who is supreme. Only in this way can you grasp the essence. Just like this. Ling Feng stood in place and demonstrated to the two women. A punch was thrown. The domineering fist rushed forward. No true energy was used. But the momentum of the punch alone had already set off a fierce fist wind on the spot, and the power made the two women's legs a little weak. Junior brother is really domineering. Damn it. I like my junior brother even more. Looking at the two women with rosy faces, Ling Feng was a little confused. Is there something wrong with what I taught?